Okay, so now that we're in the spoiler territory,
Thank
let's talk
goodness.
about that scene. The
I
scene that
told
I feel like is kind of the core of the movie, the heart of the movie, which is when Sammy sings for the first time in
Okay, okay,
Back to the
yes,
Jukebox.
yes. What a moment. I thought that was so beautifully done. That
Yeah.
scene in particular could have gone a lot worse. I could see a
Mhm.
director wanting to accomplish something like that and not really being able to.
Mhm.
In such it was done so well. The one
Yeah.
take zooming around everywhere, the way that you went from like one era to the next, you know what I mean? Like
Mhm. Yeah.
they just bounce back and forth with past, present, and future in such a beautiful artistic way. Oh my gosh.
Yeah. I was floored. I was like my
Mhm.
jaw was on the floor. I was just like, "Holy crap. This is one of the shots of the ages. This is one of the best."
Mhm.
It's like all like one long take and
Mhm.
the way that and then when it hands up to the roof as the ashes are coming down and it's all on fire and it's you get to see it from the outside of what the vampires are seeing
Mhm.
and just how they immediately recognize the power of that
Mhm.
music, of his music, and they want it. And I just
Yeah.
thought, I was floored by it. That was such an iconic
Mhm.
scene that
It really stuck with me, and I was dancing during that part, and there were moments where I felt, like, deeply tied to the message of the movie. I felt very much
Mhm.
connected to what they were
Yeah.
showing us and what they were trying to get us to realize, like, I felt it, um,
Mhm.
and I related to it. It felt almost nostalgic in certain moments because I got to live through some of those eras, and I've got to learn about some of those eras, and I remember growing up, I took, like, an African dancing class for, a semester at my art school, and so when it switched to that and the tempo changed a little bit, I felt
Yeah.
connected to that, and, the way that the composition of the music even, as they moved
Mhm.
around, as they showed how the blues sound evolved and where it
Yeah.
came from. I thought was
Yes.
so like just it was a master sat down and did that, and I'd
Yeah.
love to get an interview of just about that scene and where the
Yeah.
inspiration came from and kind of the guts, kind of the bravery and who they were trying to honor for that scene because it definitely
Mhm.
brought a lot of people to mind for me. Um,
Well, I think
but
that's what it was meant to do. I think
mhm,
that it did such a good job at showing the influence Black music has had over history, all
mhm.
the way back to Africa, all the way to where we are now. I mean, we've talked about on over text message just the allegory here
Right,
of the whole movie of just the history of the music industry
right.
and the way that the music industry has preyed upon Black music
Mhm,
to for their own gain
mhm.
because they can't make that themselves.
Right.
And that to me is what I was taking from the movie a lot of the time, like just the symbolism with the vampires
Mhm,
needing that music and the power of that music. And what I found interesting watching the second time, I noticed that the score in the background changes as the movie goes on, and by the time they're fighting the vampires, it's all heavy metal. So through
mhm.
the course of the movie, we're seeing the transition of the blues turn into rock and roll, which
Yeah,
is where rock and roll came from, was from the
right.
blues. So I just thought that was fucking genius
So did I,
to do
and
that.
the
Yeah.
to even give us the slave songs, you know what I mean? Seeing the chain
Mhm.
gang and then
Yeah.
singing and him encouraging them to continue singing and them almost being them being shot at for singing and how that
Mhm.
kept progressing, but I did also like, I can't remember if it was Smoke or Stack that he was talking to. I think it was Smoke who said, like, he's met a lot of musicians and none of them were happy. I thought that
Yes.
was really interesting because that is still so relevant today.
Yeah.
Musicians are, like,
Well, the
almost like
best
number
music
1.
comes from pain. The
Yeah,
best music
absolutely.
comes from pain and struggle.
Mhm. And the industry is so predatory. You know,
Yeah.
anytime someone does have real talent, we have seen what it does to them or how they're
Mhm.
used and abused and just how terrible that profession can be for a lot of
Well,
people.
that's
So,
what I found so fascinating about these vampires is that the way that they're trying to lure them in to joining them
mhm,
is community, is
mhm.
acceptance,
Peace
is
and love,
come
freedom.
yes, come we have no judgments here. We're
Yeah.
all equality. It's all equality here.
Mhm.
And so that you could see why that's alluring, but that's the same thing that the music industry has done. It's like, "Whoa,
Yeah.
whoa, whoa. We love you. Please come be with
Mhm.
us." But what
We.
they want is your talent. What they want
Mhm.
is what the money, what
Mhm.
you can give them with your talent. And
Mhm.
I thought that was also genius.
It was absolutely genius.
And I thought it was very interesting that they chose to make the lead vampire Irish because it also gives you a sense that his character understands to some extent
Oh,
what people have been
absolutely.
through because
Absolutely.
of the persecution that his people
Mm.
faced
Mhm.
in Ireland. And
Mhm.
so, regardless of the analogy that we're talking about, I thought it was so cool that the reason why he personally wanted that gift was so that he could see his ancestors again.
Yeah. Yeah.
And so you're almost a little empathetic for him. And
Yes, I was.
yeah.
I definitely
Mhm.
was. I was thinking the same thing. I love that you said that because who knows better what it's like to be oppressed than the oppressed?
Yeah.
But isn't that what happens so often is that the oppressed becomes the oppressor, and then
Yeah.
the cycle repeats. Um,
Mhm.
I gosh, there were so many moments. I even thought that them normally they throw in these like side relationships and things that don't pay off and I don't care about the
Mhm.
romance. In this movie, I cared so much about the romance. Um
Yes.
his poor baby that he lost for
Yeah.
some reason had me very emotional. I was crying when he
Yeah.
got to be with his baby. Normally, I don't care about that stuff. I'm always like, "Whatever, cut it out, make the movie shorter." For some
Mhm.
reason, it felt very, like, important. I think because a lot of people have to choose between family and career
Yeah.
or happiness. I don't know, I loved that that was his motivation at the end.
Well, there was a lot of themes in there about all of these characters are really searching for freedom.
Yep.
And whether that mean physically or just freedom from what they're inner struggling with.
Right.
And so I love that in death, he was finally able to have what
Yeah.
he always wanted. And also, same thing on the opposite side
Right.
with Dak and
Yeah.
Mary,
Mhm.
with them becoming
Mhm.
vampires, they were able to get the freedom that they've
Mhm.
always wanted to actually be together and with
Yeah.
no fear of being together. And I was, like, yelling at the screen when Smoke's girl what was her I can't remember her
What was
name.
her name? I don't remember either. Annie.
Annie?
Mhm.
Okay. When Annie got bit, I was I was yelling,
Yeah.
"No, no, no." She was my favorite character. I
Yeah.
don't know what I really attached myself to her. I love how smart she was. I love how quick with everything she was.
Mhm. She was
And
on it.
I was yelling at the screen. I'm like, "Kill her." Like, you
Mhm.
promised her like, he was taking too long in my opinion. I'm like, "You need to."
Yeah, I was worried. I was
Yeah.
definitely worried. I loved her character so much because so much of her knowledge was ancestral. That's
Mhm.
what she was using in her rituals and in her spell work, and that's where her, knowing how to even deal with this situation came from. So I thought that was really
Yeah.
powerful because she seemed the most rooted in her ancestors and really wise because of that. And I loved her. Oh, another thing I do have to say, I am quick to shit on a movie or a TV show when it's too lewd and not tasteful. I thought that those scenes were so tasteful in this
Yes.
movie.
And
It was
sexy though. Like, they were
yes,
sexy,
yes,
but not
plenty. Mhm.
explicit. Yeah. Uh-huh.
Absolutely. I was very, very pleased. I don't know, I just feel like I wanted to give him a pat on the back and be like, "Yes, this is
Yeah.
how you do it. We don't need it to be drug out for it to be intimate and, like you said, still
Yeah.
really sexy and really powerful." Gosh, I loved how they handled all of those moments.
And there's, like, couple lines that were just like, "Ooh," like,
Yeah,
"Ugh," like,
I know.
but she's like, "You can go rob all those trains and banks, but you can't rob this pussy."
Yes, oh my gosh, I know the
And he
one-liners
says
were
he goes, "Baby, you're drooling." She's like, "You want a taste?" I was like,
yeah,
"Oh,
okay,
oh,
that was a lot,
oh."
but yes, I know. Yeah, even she's like, "I need to clean up first," and he like, "I wanna taste you." I was like, "Oh goodness."
Mhm.
It felt like reading a smut book. I'm like, "Wait a
Yeah, yeah.
minute now." But still, it's very tastefully done.
Yes,
And I
yes.
thought important because you can't have a vampire movie without it being sexy. You know what
Mhm.
I mean? Like, it's
Yeah.
necessary for that genre, I feel like, so, I was impressed with the way that they went about it.
What was your take on Mary's character, which is, Haley Steinfeld?
I actually really liked her. I kind of went in expecting to hate her because I'd seen in the
Mhm.
trailers, like, she gonna go vampire and ruin
Yeah,
this party and be terrible.
yeah,
I actually liked her a lot more than I expected to because I realized that, like, she really didn't do anything wrong, like, she was kind of on their side
yeah.
100%. I believed her when she said that she waited for him and that she loved him, and that wouldn't have been an easy thing to do during that time period. I don't know, I thought she was gonna be a villain, and she grew on me. I liked her. What'd you
Yeah.
think?
I agree. I keep seeing some discourse online of people thinking that she was there to show to not trust allies because she's the one who they invited her in and then she's the one who but I don't feel like that's what the director was trying to say with her cuz
No, I didn't
I
get that
mean,
at
she
all. I
didn't
thought
ask to get bit. She went out there to help.
right.
Like
I thought her intentions were true. I expected them
yeah.
to not be. I went into it thinking she
Yeah.
betrayed them, but no, through the movie,
Mhm.
I feel like her intentions were absolutely true.
And it seemed like she connected with that community more than
Yeah.
her own community.
Yeah,
That
Annie called her family.
yeah. Mhm.
Mhm, and I know what that's like too. Now she's a lot less mixed than I am according to the story. What'd she say? My
She's
mom's dad was
I
half black.
yeah,
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 like 1 drop. But I relate to that feeling of being not enough for one group and not enough for the other
Mhm.
group. And so I
Yeah.
had empathy for her there, but I definitely felt like her intentions were true, all the way up
Yeah.
until she was a vampire, but then even still, they're just trying to grow the horde, so
Right. I agree. I think that I mean, everybody there that knew her was, like, welcoming to her in
Mhm.
open arms. It seemed like her mom was someone that helped take care of Smoke and Stack
Yeah.
when they were
Mhm.
younger as a safe place for them to
Mhm.
sleep at night and stuff, and protected them, and it just seems like she was a real one. So
Yeah,
I feel like when I keep seeing that discourse online, I'm like,
that's weird to me. I don't
"That's
agree.
not I don't think that's what they were trying to say,
Mm-mm.
with her character."
I think if
Um,
anything, it's don't assume the worst of
yeah,
people.
mhm, yeah,
It's, that allies can come in all shapes and sizes, even like with the Chinese people, and,
yeah,
to not assume the worst because she definitely had
yeah.
their back.
That's how I took it too, because it's
Yeah.
like, okay, yeah, she was maybe the first vampire to get in there,
Mhm.
but Cornbread was trying to get in there too, like
Yes, I love cornbread. I love cornbread. Also, I was trying to think, whoever played Delta Slim, his name is Delroy Lindo. I thought Delta Slim was a great character. The one that was playing
Yes,
harmonica that they got to come.
yes,
He was
he
so
cracked me
good.
up.
Me
Yeah.
too. Me too.
Oh, and he's like, "I just shit my pants."
Yes, that made me burst
He
out
was
laughing.
the yeah, he was definitely the comedic,
Absolutely.
like, relief in the movie.
Mhm.
Everybody really brought their A game in
I
there.
thought so too. I thought everyone seemed really sincere. Okay, obviously, we have to say, I loved him getting revenge at the end against the Klan. That,
Oh,
for
yeah.
me, it gave me more than
Cherry
I was
on top.
expecting. Yes, right?
Mhm.
I thought I
Yeah.
was good with the ending before that
Yeah.
happened almost. I was like, okay, wrap it up. Like, we're
Yep.
fine here.
Uh-huh.
No, that scratched the itch that you didn't
Mhm.
even realize. Because once they had said, like, "Oh, he sold it to you just to set you guys up." I was like, "Oh, that's terrible," but I forgot about it a little bit, and
Yeah,
they had
yeah.
mentioned the crate, like, "Oh, you didn't bring the crate," and I thought like, "Huh, what are they talking about?" Then I forgot about it.
Mhm.
When it came back into play, and then I got to see Michael B. Jordan with that gun going
Uh-huh.
ballistic, that was my favorite part.
Yeah.
That was my favorite part.
So satisfying.
Mhm.
When he threw the grenade into the truck window.
Yes, the grenade.
Uh-huh.
Mhm.
And I love when the clan leader was dying,
Yeah.
and the fact that when he finally does go and kill him, he doesn't just shoot him in the head, he just shoots him in the stomach a bunch of times. I'm like,
Yeah.
"Yes, make him suffer." Yes.
After getting a cigarette from him.
Yeah.
Ah, so perfect.
Yeah. Chef's kiss. The mid-credit scene, I was like, "This is the most vital mid-credit scene I've ever seen." If
Mhm.
people got up and left before seeing that, they
Mhm.
did not see the end of the movie.
That's
Like
what I was thinking. Someone in my theater had already left, and for some reason,
Mhm,
I hadn't seen your message yet to not leave, but something just told
mhm.
me not to leave just yet, just because of the way that it was ending. It felt I don't know, the music was really good, I wanted to stick around for an extra second. Someone in my
Yeah.
theater had left, and I'm like, "Oh, shit, you don't have any idea how the movie ends." Like,
Yeah.
I really loved that part. I thought that it was probably my favorite credit scene that I've ever seen.
Yeah. Yeah. I agree. I think that it actually added to
Mhm.
the movie.
Mm.
At first, I was nervous when they came in, like,
Me
"Oh god,
too.
what are they gonna do?" But I love that they just came in to pay their respects, they wanted to listen to him
Mhm.
again. They wanted, to offer if he was interested, they could
Mhm.
give him
Eternal life. Yeah.
eternal life, and they were just paying their respects to him and reminisced about that day and left.
I love that they said it was their favorite night because I was left feeling like that too, like, it was such a party. I had a great time that night, even though it
Yeah,
was the worst thing
yeah,
ever. I agree that it
yeah,
was, like, one of the best nights of my life, even though I saw it for a
yeah,
matinee.
yeah. What are your thoughts on the idea of any sequels or prequels coming off of this? Is that something you would want to see? And if so, in what form?
That's interesting. I would love to see what the twins were doing up in Chicago.
Yeah.
If there is any way to tie this in to let me see what they were doing up in Chicago, yeah, I
Yeah, we
would
got a little
absolutely.
bit of information thrown at
Mhm.
us that maybe they were setting up the Irish against
Mhm.
the Italians and then dipped. I think that would be, I mean, they were working with Capone, so that would be really interesting. And if we got to see their involvement in World War One,
Oh.
which you don't get to see a lot of
Mm-mm.
movies focusing on black characters in World War One, which there were. So
Thank you for
that would
saying
be
that.
yeah.
Yes. Thank you for
So
saying
that
that.
would be so interesting.
I've been saying the same thing, even with the start of the newest season of Righteous Gemstones, they kind of start us in, like, the Civil War or whatever, and I was saying, "There's not enough black people in this because they were absolutely soldiers." I feel like I never get to
Yes.
see that.
Yes.
So yeah, I'd love to see that, and I could watch a sequel too. I mean, I feel like it could almost be like the Smile franchise where, like, the sequel is a whole other story, just
Mm,
has the similar supernatural elements, mixed in with music. I mean,
yeah.
they could even do the same thing with Native people. It doesn't have to just
Oh,
be y
I would love they're only in that movie
I
for, like,
know.
a
Yeah,
couple minutes. I was so interested.
they were
They were
hunting the vampires, like, so they were on it. I would love to see
yes.
more about that and why and
Yeah.
how.
I
Mhm.
love they were like, "Oh, okay, well, this guy is bad if we let
Yeah.
him in. Okay, the sun's going
We're
down.
gonna
Okay,
go.
we're out."
I love that too. I love that too, they didn't mess around.
I would also be interested just to see a sequel of, Stack and Mary and where
Mhm,
their lives go
mhm.
up to the '90s and stuff. There's just so many different the world that was built was
Yeah,
so rich
yeah.
and lived in, and the characters, they give you enough that are like, their motivations and why they're doing that, but, you just wanna know more about them.
Mhm.
They clearly are so layered. I would watch a whole movie about the main vampire and his,
Yes.
s
Where was
he
he
was
running
so
from?
interesting.
How did he get
Yes.
to the front porch? Why was his skin on fire? Why had he been out
Yeah.
during the day? I would
Mhm.
love to know all about that. I really loved how his
Yeah.
prosthetics kept getting better too. The more people that
Yeah.
turned, the more vampire-like he got, and that is one of my
Yeah.
favorite vampire tropes is that they get stronger each time they feed. And by the
Yeah.
end of it, with his fingers looking
Oh,
all
fingernails,
gnarly,
yeah.
oh, it was so
Uh-huh.
good.
Yeah. I would only be interested in sequels and prequels if written and directed by Ryan Coogler. I do not
Mhm.
wanna see anybody else try to pick up and
Mm-mm.
try to make money off of this, because that would kind of go against the whole, point of what
Yeah,
the movie's saying.
absolutely.
So, I want this to stay in Ryan Coogler's hands, and if he has a vision for something he wants to do in this universe, I
Please.
think
Mhm.
yes, give it to us. I think that this movie is going to be a huge success. I think that word of mouth is spreading fast about how fantastic this movie is. I'm seeing so almost everybody online saying that they're going back multiple times to see this
Mhm.
again.
Mhm.
And that means they're going to be bringing people that haven't seen it. And
Absolutely.
I think this movie really could make a lot of money, be a huge success,
Mhm.
and if that's the case, I would assume the studio would want to make more. And
I would love
if
that.
God yeah, and God willing, if that's something
Mhm.
that Ryan Coogler is interested in exploring, I am on board, on
Me
board.
too.
Give
Mhm.
me more, inject this shit into my veins. I
Please.
loved it.
And it's definitely a theater movie. It's gonna be nice at home to watch it in the comfort of your house, but I think that everyone who can get to the theaters absolutely needs to get to the theaters right now to see this because getting that surround sound and the larger than life screen really helps like immerse you in this world like you said
Yes.
that's so robust and so powerful. If you can go to the nicest theater in your area so you can have where the seats shake a little bit when the music is
Yeah,
playing
yeah,
because it felt so good to be a part of it. And as people who love the theater experience, I feel like it's such a gift to us to have something where you're like, oh, I'm actually glad I got out of the house to see this, and give it its proper time and my undivided attention because it deserves it.
yeah. Completely agree.
Mhm.
Let's end it there. That was a good way to end it. Let's end it there.
Fantastic.